Are you trying to pay bills, enjoy your life, and have a savings account with an income of about $1,500 a month? If so, then I am in the exact same situation you're in. In this video, I'll share the basics of my monthly budgeting process. This system is simple and general enough that it should be helpful no matter where you live or what your situation is. But of course, I can't speak for everyone. Keep on watching to learn all about it. Just to add a little bit of context to my situation and my advice, I currently work part-time at a publishing house and part-time as an entrepreneur. I pay rent in a home that I do not own along with my boyfriend, and we live in the Midwest in America. The part-time publishing job brings in consistent income, but my entrepreneurial job doesn't. So I don't really factor the money that I make from entrepreneurial work into my budget. Any entrepreneurial money I get goes right back to the business or wherever it needs to go at the time. I get paid every 2 weeks, and when I get my first paycheck of the month, I pull out an index card, and that's where I keep track of everything. What you're seeing on the screen is just the Microsoft Word version of the final result of what I do on the index card, just because I didn't think that the pictures I could take of my messy handwriting would be as effective as you just looking at a nicely typed document on Microsoft Word. But at least looking at the version on Microsoft Word will give you an idea of exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, so on the index card on one side, I just write a long list in any order of all the bills that I need to pay for the month. Next to the name of an individual bill, I write how much the bill is, and then I write the date that they are due next to each bill. After I have all my bills listed, the amounts and the day that they are due, I write one with a circle on it next to the bills that absolutely need to be paid with my check from a certain date, and the bills that absolutely need to be paid with my check from another date. This will depend obviously on the due dates that I listed on the other side of the index card. Once everything is done, I flip the index card over, and then I create a table that looks similar to what you're seeing here, except what I write doesn't look obviously as nice as it does in this Microsoft Word version. For my general savings advice, I began by putting aside 10% of my monthly income. So what that means is that if you're making $1,500 a month, you would put $15 aside every month. I try to add $5 to $10 more to this amount every few months. As you can see, that's why my first check has a savings of $10 and my second check has a savings of $10 for a total of $20 instead of $15. I know that this is a very low amount to be putting into your savings, but as someone who has just started savings again, this is just a really good way to get started. It's better than nothing. Plus, I would like to add that I have a joint savings account with my boyfriend, and he matches my amount in our joint savings. Plus, this savings is only for the general savings, emergency savings, not for a very particular purpose, just to have extra emergency money. I do save a lot more money for a very specific thing that I'm budgeting for. In fact, I actually have another video, which I'll link to above, that goes into detail about how I am really focused about saving a lot of money, even when I don't have that much money to work with. So after I add up all my bills, and these example numbers are just kind of random to give you an idea of what it looks like, as well as these numbers. Normally my paychecks aren't this exact across, but my paychecks almost always end up being more or less around $1,500. So with these general numbers to help give you an idea that's similar to what I do, I then add up all the bills for the first check, and I put it at the bottom of the table about how much the bills are in all. Then I see how much money I have left over. I subtract 750 and 647, and what I have left over is generally what I have to work with for spending and leisure money. This just goes to hanging out with friends or transportation or buying restaurant food or groceries, anything that I do for fun. And I'm just very targeted with whatever I get to work with. For me, as long as I have at least $130 to $200 for spending and leisure, I'm comfortable. It is okay with me. I know how to work with that. And often when I subtract these two numbers, I kind of round this to a solid. I don't like to work with the change or 131 or 132. I tend to just keep it like a solid number, 125, 130. And then I like to try to keep a little, like if this was $135, but I'm actually only giving myself 130, I like to keep a little bit of change in my account just in case something goes wrong, so that it doesn't just like automatically bounce out to zero or kick into overdraft because there's nothing in my account after bills. So that's why I round my spending leisure number. Going back to how much spending leisure you're comfortable with, you need to be realistically honest with yourself about how much spending works for you. I honestly have had to work with much less money than this before. I had significantly less to work with in previous years, and so I know how to get by with a little bit of money and don't feel the need to have a bunch of spending and leisure money. I have creative ways to get around needing a lot of money even when I want to hang out with friends. But if you don't think that in a budget of $1,500, $130 to spend for leisure for 2 weeks or for groceries is enough, then you need to be realistic with yourself about how you split up your bills, or if you need to bring in more income in some other fashion. All right, so the very first day that I get paid, so on, as you can see in this example, on June 5th, that day that I get my check, I immediately pull out this index card and I put it together. I finish and create the table, and then I immediately pay whatever bills are meant to be paid with that check that very same day. Obviously, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I have to wait a day or two if I'm really busy, but I always try to knock it out. Like, I get paid, I look at my index card, and I pay all the bills for that check. Just knock it all out in the same day. I also do that exact same thing, obviously, the moment I get my second check. Paying bills as soon as you get paid is great for your credit, and it helps you like not forget about the bills. A few minutes ago, I noted that on the other side of my index card, I began by just writing a long list of all the bills I have to pay and then some due dates. If you just kind of go, okay, one bill is due on the 5th, and one bill is due on the 8th, and one bill is due on the 12th, and you actually just pay those bills one by one with all those days, that's just a recipe for disaster and forgetfulness. That's how you get in a situation where you had the money and you had the intention to pay your bills and you just totally forgot about it. So just knock it all off all at once. And then here's another important bonus tip that I want to give. Also, within a few days after paying my bills, preferably that same day or at least the very next day after, I like to go to the bank or an ATM and just in cash all my spending leisure money. Like, get this as cash immediately so that I don't start spending with my card and then just get used to it. When you have cash as the money that you are using for spending, it is very clear when you are A, about to run out of money, and B, it is easy to keep track of how much you're spending. When you're spending money for leisure and it is just coming directly from your checking account or your card, what happens is money starts to become kind of like this vague, faraway thing. And even though you would think in your head, I only have $130 to work with, you're spending from a card, you're not seeing that money go, and it just ends up being a case where you spend more money than you anticipated spending. And so to avoid that, just go to the bank and go to the ATM and cash out the exact amount that you would be using for spending. All right, so that is my quick one of the week about the basics of budgeting and how you can work with $1,500 a month for your bills, for your savings account, and for leisure money. If this helps you, please subscribe, like, and share. See you next time.